Well, hey everybody, hope you're doing great. We are looking forward to seeing everybody at our next meeting on February 2nd. Remember, it's the first Tuesday of every month, so go ahead and mark your calendar. Come prepared with a speech. Treat this like you're building your business and growing your business. So treat your breakout session like it's literally a live paying audience. In addition, we're going to be able to give you feedback to help you take it to that next level. So treat it seriously and be standing. And in today's video that I'll get to in just a second, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to outline your speech so that it meets three criteria that I personally look for and recommend is it educating, is it engaging, and is it empowering? You hit those three targets and you got a referable speech that people will pay money to book. Okay, so that's coming in just a second. So let me give you just a few quick reminders about speaking professionally Toastmasters. So a couple things. Number one, check, congratulations. We are a chartered club now, and you should have received a welcome email about that. If not, let me know. It would have come from Toastmasters International. What I'd also encourage you to do is go ahead and log into your account with Toastmasters International and make sure that you see Speaking Professionally Toastmasters. And if you are a dual member of another club, make sure that you have that club on there as well. Because we've had, a few of you have told me there's a little small glitch where you only see Speaking Professionally Toastmasters. So if you were a prior Toastmasters member, you should still see your prior club. Now, if you're brand new to Toastmasters, don't worry about that. You should just be good to go. I also encourage you to dive in deep over a cup of coffee, or your favorite cocktail, whatever you want. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. But dive deep into the Toastmasters website, check out some of the great resources they have, and definitely look at pathways as a way to give you a goal of how to pursue your education within Toastmasters. Okay? So that's number one. Number two is this, folks. We are, the automatic payments are, depending on when you joined, every 3 months, you'll be billed again automatically. We're not sending out invoices. We're not taking checks. That's unnecessary admin time. And so just know that if you haven't been billed yet, you will be charged automatically until you cancel your automatic subscription. So if you have any problems or questions about that, just let me know. So don't be surprised by that. Now, it's $150, and you get that in perpetuity. Any new members, it's $250. And what I want to remind you is that you have thousands of dollars in resources at your fingertips. And I encourage you to take advantage of those because they're part of your membership. So you've got the NSA Vault, the International Speaker Summit. You've got the event calendar, which hopefully you've seen some of my posts. I've made thousands of dollars off that alone, and you have access to that. And also the association directory. So those are just extra resources that any other club isn't going to have. And guess what? Even if you were to pay for one of those on your own, like I have, you'd be paying a lot more. So that's what's inclusive with your membership within Speaking Professionally Toastmasters. So guys, ladies, take advantage of that, right? And if you haven't yet, this is your motivation. Sometimes when you're like a gym membership, it's like it doesn't mean nothing unless you show up, right? Unless you use it. So sometimes when we get billed for something, we're like, hey, that's a reminder. I need to take advantage of that. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, reach out to me one-on-one, but don't be surprised by that. So every 3 months, it's automatic until you cancel that subscription, which then would mean no longer you're a member of our club. But I hope that doesn't happen. So one more thing before I get to my content is this. I've posted several opportunities for college speaking. And this is how I got started in speaking, folks. Don't assume you're not a college speaker. You just need to know how to position yourself better. Okay? That's also mental. A lot of this is mental. Okay? I think all of us could be a great college speaker. Keynote speaker, a trainer, workshop facilitator for faculty and staff. I'm actually launching something brand new with one of my agencies about that alone. But the point is this, you've got opportunities to watch other campus presenters to see how they present. I've shared several resources with you. We can talk about this in the Q&A if you want. Second is this, I've actually shared with you some RFP, requests for proposals, request for speakers is basically what those are. And now submit several programs for that. If I can help you one-on-one, let me know. I do this all the time with folks. And also Campus Speak. That's my agency. There's several agencies out there, and you don't need an agency to start to speak to college students, but it can certainly help. It can also certainly help to further grow. That deadline is February 2nd. So two things on February 2nd. Number one, our next meeting, but also the deadline for Campus Speak. If you want to be represented by an agency, that would probably help. Now, they do this twice a year. So if you're looking at the criteria and you're like, I'm not ready yet. Okay, is that mental? Why do you feel not ready? What makes you feel that way, right? Second is, well, okay, what do you need to get ready? Because a lot of what Campus Speak, this is what I've shared with you already one-on-one. Several of you have talked with me one-on-one. If you don't have what Campus Speak's asking for in their criteria, then you also respectfully don't have what a college would need to book you to speak. So look at the criteria. It lays out what they're looking for because that's what a college is going to look for. And just, speakers, I do because I think it's fair for you to know what you can get paid, but other speakers will say, hey, we don't talk about exactly what our fees are. No, let me tell you what my fees are for colleges or community colleges. $3,500 starting out. If I can get more, I might book a faculty staff event. Maybe I'll do 2 events for them. And if I need to negotiate with them, guess what? I'll negotiate. I do the best I can to work with reasonable budgets. $500 is not a reasonable budget. Free is not a reasonable budget. But there's ways that you can monetize a discounted or free speech. And I actually wrote a blog about that I hope you'll read. It's called How to Monetize a Free Speech Pro Bono. All sorts of ways to monetize that. So February 2nd is the Campus Speak deadline. I hope that you all at least look at that and give yourself a chance and don't assume you're not a college speaker. But what they're going to look for and ask you to submit is what a college or any professional organization is going to ask you to submit as well. And that's the focus of what we're going to be talking about today, folks, is how to really develop your program. Okay? How to develop what? Your program. Because your program is what an organizer is going to book. Your program is how you get paid to speak. Even myself included. Look, my name doesn't precede me unless people already know who I am. But when people ask me to speak, organizations, meeting planners, executives, agencies, whoever those people might be that ask me to speak, you know what they're asking for? It starts with a P and it ends with program. They're not bringing Kevin in, they're bringing Kevin's dynamic program in. So your program is the product of your business. And the reason it's the product of your business is because you have a speaking business. So what are you speaking on? Guess what? That's the program. So today I'm going to share with you some tips on what is a program, and then also how to outline your program. And folks, if you can't already tell me, we're just getting started. This is a half-day training right here. This is a couple coaching sessions. This is the essence of Module 2 in my book, Pay to Speak, which, by the way, you have access to. I've given you free access to the ebook, the PDF of the book, which you can import into a Kindle or an ebook reader, and the audiobook links. You also can get a discounted print version as well. I'm more of a print person, okay? I'm definitely more print, always will be, but the reasons I have different options of my book is because it's not about what I prefer, it's about what my users might prefer. So you have besides the print, which you can order on Amazon for $14.99, autographed copy. If you don't already have one, you got those free links as well. Okay, so it all depends on you. But Module 2 in the book, and they're not chapters, they're modules because they build on each other. In our last 2 sessions, I've shared with you aspects of Module 1, and you'll see how those build into Module 2. So Module 2 is all about your program. Think about it like this. So I put a deposit down, a $100 deposit to get the new Cybertruck, the Tesla, right? The Tesla Cybertruck. I cannot wait. So $100, right? And it's a self-driving car. I cannot wait for this thing to come out. But for the next, and what they've been doing for the past couple years, and what they're continuing to do for the next year and a half before the car is ready, is they're doing R&D. research and development. Their product is the car. That's what I'm paying for, right? That's the product. Well, if I'm a speaker, guess what my product is? It's my speech, right? So how much time should go into this, folks? Yes, it's going to be a lot of time. I'm not suggesting it's going to take as much time to put a Cybertruck together, but when that product is ready, guess what? Now you got people who will consume it, who will pay deposits to book you to speak. And in May, so I'll share with you also the next monthly topics that I'll be covering. In May, I'll be talking about how to submit speaker contracts and get the deposit checks. So absolutely every speech I do, it's a 50% deposit. So not getting ahead of ourselves, but the point is this. Until you have a program ready, you're not prepared to speak, to get paid. So that's the caveat. You can definitely speak. You can definitely go out and do freebies and this and that and this and that. But if you're going to get paid to speak thousands of dollars at a conference or for a company's annual training, meeting, all sorts of things, you're going to have a program. Okay? Are we clear? And this program is going to require you to buckle up, helmet down, and get real serious about specifically what you're going to cover in your presentation. Okay? So let's do this. Let's dive into this content a little bit. What are the program elements? So when I talk about a program, it's the same thing. I'll use these words interchangeably. This is your speech. This is your presentation, right? So a program is your speech. A program is your presentation. A presentation is your speech. Whether it's a 60-minute keynote, 60-minute workshop, 90-minute half day, it doesn't matter. Don't complicate the game. But here are the things that you're going to need. You're going to need a title. You're going to need a description. You're going to need outcomes, also called objectives, like learning objectives. You're going to need a bio, and you're going to need a headshot. So if you look at some of these call for speakers that I've shared with you in our Facebook group for Speaking Professionally Toastmasters, then you know that to submit, you need all those things. You know, when you submit, what else are you going to submit? You're going to have to submit a title. You're going to have to submit a description, some outcomes, a bio, and a headshot. The only thing that might be, maybe you don't, is the headshot. But who cares? A headshot doesn't matter if you don't have the program, okay? So the program is key. Now, some of you might be asking, well, how many programs do I need, Kevin? Or actually, you might be asking yourself this. I've got multiple programs. Where should I start? Well, think of it like this. I'm a metaphor person. So think of it like this. Say that we're going to go in your backyard to catch some squirrels, right? Who are all looking for a nut, right? We're all looking to survive right now. And in the squirrel world, if I tried to chase all of these squirrels, how many would I actually catch? And I wish we were interactive right now because I would ask, hey, post in the chat, how many squirrels would I actually catch if I tried to chase all of them at the same time? Now, the answer to that is what? 0. The answer is absolutely 0. I will catch none of these squirrels if I try to chase all of them at the same time. Same thing with our presentations. If you don't focus in on just one presentation, just one, and focus it on a 60-minute presentation, whether it's a keynote, workshop, training, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. What would that look like? Yes, you will have 2 to 3 other programs down the road, maybe even 4. That's what I'd recommend. But to start, you need to focus on one. And this is where your speaker notebook will help you. Because then you can focus on, say, well, okay, this other content can wait, right? Or other content that can be maybe part of your next book or your first book. That's how I wrote my first book with Campus Speak. I went to them with 5 programs. And the CEO, TJ Sullivan, came to me. This is back in 2006. He said, Snyder, love your 5 programs, but we can't brand you with 5. We're going to brand you with 1. So come back to us and let's look at your number 1 program. And folks, that first program that I ever presented, which made me a top 10 speaker, top 5 speaker, a new speaker of the year, that program for me, my first ever program, was titled Passion, Persistence, and the Price is Right. Boom. That was it, right? And that was the program I focused on. And the other 4 presentations, guess what? It was like me, I didn't even have kids at the time, but it was like this. It was like me selecting my favorite child, right? So I know how difficult it will be for you to focus in on just one presentation at a time. Because and we think that all of our other content is like going to change the world and solve all the world's problems. And yes, it can. But in 45 to 60 minutes, we're there to be engaging, to educate, and empower, right? And the other content, it is important. And that can go in your next book and go in your next program, but let's focus in on just that one program. So we're going to have to focus, friends. We're going to have to focus. Follow one course. I love acronyms. Follow one course until what? Squirrel. So we're going to focus on one program right now, okay? So let's jump into it, all right? We're going to jump into it. So again, our program elements, one presentation at a time. And we're going to repeat. We're going to rinse and repeat this: the title, description, outcomes, bio, and headshot for only one program. So look, if you have a copy of Paid to Speak, in the print, it is page 24. Page 24 in the book, I outline some tips and give you much better context on how to actually do this. So let me share with you a few tips up front. Here we go. Check this out. Number one, I recommend that you look at comparable speakers for your topic and their presentation titles, descriptions, outcomes. You're going to study them to take notes. I call this benchmarking. You're not copying them. You're taking down notes, you're studying, you're looking to find the gap. The gap is where the gold exists, right? And you're not going to copycat, but you're going to look and say, oh, I really like how they worded that, or I like that title, I like this, I like that. And once you have done enough and you're looking at many speakers, and again, this is also where I recommend and why I recommend having only 3 mentor speakers where you can really focus in on those 3, not 10, not 5, not 20, but focus in on those first things. Look at these 3 speakers. Then you might want to look at some others just to kind of cross-reference and triangulate. So that's number 1, okay? Number 2 is this: find a conference schedule. You can find these easily online for free of an industry where you would like to speak. Now, that might be a challenge for some of you right now because you're not sure about who your target audience is. That's going to be an upcoming topic as well that I'll be covering, is how to select paid target audiences. Okay? I'll be talking about that. But for right now, just focus on some conference schedules that you think will be your ideal audiences to speak to, okay? Look at them and review the previous year's conference or the conference coming up and look at their programs to study the presentation titles and the descriptions that were already selected. Because if a title's been selected at a national conference or a state conference or international conference, that means it's already gone through the vetting process from whoever selects their speakers. And usually it's a committee of people. If they've selected those presentations, those are probably ones that are current trends, hot topics, and well designed. So why would you not want to look at what's already been done? Okay? Again, let's not recreate the wheel. Let's benchmark. Let's see what's already out there, okay? Here's another recommendation. Write out title ideas as well as presentation ideas and show them to a few of your close speaker friends or even professionals or business acquaintances. Get feedback. Ask me to help if needed. I love doing this with coaching clients because this is the product of your business. This is so important. I've done a pretty good job over the years knowing how to find blind spots, how to make recommendations. I've also been on conference planning committees where I actually selected speakers for their events as well, or helped them, made recommendations based on this information. So I know what they're looking for. If I can help you, let me know. But the key is this: you've got a lot of resources to help you. Once you submit it, once you draft it, the key is this: once you draft it, now you need to ask for feedback. It's not, respectfully, it ain't what you think. It's what others think. It's how they feel. Okay, so if you're not getting feedback, then you're kind of hoping that that description and that title sounds the way it needs to. Okay, so get the types of feedback that you need. And again, in page 24 of my book, I outline this in much more detail. These are just some bullet points. And then one more way would be just knowing that, okay, knowing that your title has to sound sexy. that big sexy idea. It has to sound intriguing. It's like a good title of a movie or a good title to a book. Okay? What's going to make them want to watch or want to open the book and read? So your title for your speech is really no different. And something that I've shared with this group many, many times, and again, we're not even into the real meat yet. So, this is going to be probably one of my longer tutorials, but that's why I'm sharing these with you in advance of our meeting so that you can ask questions during the meeting. Okay? Remember, the way that whether it's a conference planning committee, a conference organizer, a meeting planner, an executive, whoever's booking the speaker, usually one of those types of people, how do they select the speaker? Do you remember? By ruling everybody else out. So the way that you're going to be hired to speak, or your program's hired, is by being the best program they're considering. So we have to know that our program has to sound, it fits perfectly, it's relevant, it's going to help problem solve, all those fun things that most presenters or most speakers don't understand how important that is. That's how this group can help you. That's how I can help you and others if you follow just some of these easy little speaker tips, okay? Something else I'd recommend for all of you is to do this. Go to eSpeakers. And this is it's its own company, so it's not a bureau, it's not an agency, but it's a hub for speakers. Many of them are involved with National Speakers Association. And what eSpeakers will help you look, you have to pay money. You have to pay a lot of money to be part of it. I invest in a lot of things for my speaking business every single year. And the reason I do is because I ask myself, would one speaking engagement pay for it? Would one speaking engagement pay for this? And if the answer is clearly yes, and it should tenfold, then I do it. I invest in it. Okay? Now, that's my overall strategy. Well, with these speakers, that's what I ask. And I've been a featured, I don't know if you can see this, but I've been a featured showcased speaker, a virtual keynote speaker with eSpeakers, and that's what's helped. But the point with this, it's not about me, it's about you looking at some of these other vetted speakers. You can search by title, by industry, and I encourage you to do that. Okay? But don't go down a rabbit hole too much. Here's the thing, once your cup of coffee, that's why I usually say, hey, pick your cup of coffee or a cocktail, because once your coffee or cocktail's done, two things will happen. Number one, it's either time to get another one or time for you to take a break. Okay? Time for you to take a break because you've probably been doing it for an hour, hour and a half. So be careful not to go down too many rabbit holes, and then the next thing you know, you spend 2 or 3 hours and you're like, okay, I'm down a rabbit hole I wasn't even expecting to. So only do this for maybe a half hour. Or if you really find some good gold, yeah, invest more time in it, but maybe at a later point. Because the focus with all this, friends, is how can you use these resources and some of these tips if you're doing this on your own, which I don't recommend. I recommend you ask for some help. But if you are doing this on your own, you're going to need a sexy title, a sexy description, relevant outcomes, and a good darn bio, okay? And this is all Module 2. So going back to Module 1, which I shared with you we would be doing, well, as you look at all that, is your title and description and outcomes, is your program actually solving problems? Because remember, great speakers are great, what? Problem solvers. Yes, they're great speakers in delivery, but they're also great problem solvers, and that's probably why you thought they were great. It's because they were really good at presenting because they were problem solvers. That's number one. Something else from Module 2 that we haven't even talked about, I've kind of shared a few nuggets about it, but we haven't gone in depth about this, is what differentiates you? What will make you be that person that they need, that one that does stand out clearly? What are you going to do? And your program needs to stand out this way as well. So there's no percentage on, or my recommendation on, okay, well, content and delivery, which is more important? They both are. And you can differentiate yourself with content and delivery. Your program needs to capture that. That's all. So how are you going to be different when you're compared to 5 to 10 to 20 other speakers? And also going back to Campus Speak just for a moment, look, they select over 100, or they accept over 100 applications, probably even more now. They narrow it down to the top 20, then the top 10, and then they select 5 to 6. They're really no different than a company or an event who's looking to hire a speaker. So we're always being compared. It's up to us to differentiate. That's up to us. We've got to do that. And then thirdly, friends, is this. And this is all Module 1. So go to Module 1. Read Module 1 first before you dive into Module 2. And don't just watch these videos thinking, oh, well, Kevin covered a couple points and boom, we're done. No. You need to read the book. You need to walk through this step-by-step process that I've laid out. And this is what I would do. I wrote the book with this in mind. If I were to start all over again, not knowing anything, what would I do? Like, how would I help somebody who did? Well, this is what I've learned, and this is the step-by-step process. So one last thing in Module 1 is this. What's your call to action? Okay, great. You've got a great program, great content you want to share, but what is the audience going to think and do differently as a result of your presentation? You need to integrate that. You need to incorporate that. Okay, make sure it's very clear that there will be a powerful call to action, because when an audience takes action or wants to take action while they're sitting there listening to you, guess what? That means you're good. That means you're memorable. That means you're relevant. That makes you referable, right? Because we need Norm, or we need Crystal at our blank. You don't know the types of events that they might do. When a great speech incorporates those three things, problem solving, differentiation, and call to actions, it's powerful and it's referable. All right? So these program elements, friends, are extremely, extremely important. And you don't just design a presentation once. Here's something else that's really important is you design it over a period of time. You're always looking at it, making tweaks. No presentation is the same. No speaker is the same. No audience is the same. So when I'm doing my homework on a presentation, even before I submit a proposal or even get if I have an inquiry or if I'm doing outreach, I'm going to look and see what the type of event is, because if I need to tweak any of this to be more relevant, to be that hey, when I submit this, I'm right aligned with their theme, or I know exactly the audience that I'll be talking to. So if it's HR, or if it's marketing executives, or if it's students, or insert industry position, I'm going to make sure I've got some verbiage and phrasing in my description just by maybe tweaking a few words. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I can show you how. I've got samples in my book in Module 2 on how I do this. I want them to read it and be like, well, this sounds perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. And you know why? Because I tailored it. So it's not that you're just going to sit down and over your cup of joe or 2 or 3 or beverage and do this once and be done. No, friends, that's just going to get you started. And this is where, the iceberg of speaking, something that I've talked about, throughout is this is why speaking it's difficult to do this part-time. You can get started part-time, but expect part-time results. And part-time can help you kind of plant seeds, but to really get those seeds to grow, you're going to have to spend a lot of time. I mean, I never just submit a proposal. I never just get on the phone with somebody. I never just do outreach and just throw spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. That doesn't work. Or at least it's not effective. You might get a few onesies and twosies, but professional speakers are very strategic. And by professional, I mean they've got a business in speaking that can pay the bills. Okay? So I know I'm sharing a lot with you. In just a moment, I'm going to really dive into how to outline your program, which is what I really hope is even extra valuable gravy for you today. But before I do that, let me share with you the other aspect of program elements, which is headshots. Now, this is, if you go to my website, click on the drop-down link that says 4 meeting planners. This is just one element on that specific page where I actually give meeting planners a variety of different headshots to pick from. They know their audience. They know, of maybe the different speakers that they're looking for. Or, anyway, point is, I don't want to give them just one. I want to give them maybe a couple, let them pick. And I give them also with a background and also a transparent view as well, where there's no background. That way they can add it to their marketing and it looks like we tailored something that was really unique. And in just a moment, I'm talking to you about Fiverr.com. I got all these done for $5. I gave them my picture. I said, hey, I want you to make a transparent background for all of these. $5. I got all the transparent backgrounds in high res. All right? Whew. So we'll get to Fiverr in just a moment. But folks, that is how you develop your program. So right now what I would do is I'd hit pause on this and I would write down some questions that you have. And I'd share those questions with me on the Facebook group or email them to me. And I'm going to keep track of all of these questions. That way I go into our meeting on February 2nd prepared to answer these questions as quick as possible, because we're only going to have about 10 to 15 minutes in our meeting for me to answer some Q&A. Or if you want to schedule a session with me, we'll talk through some of your one-on-one questions. But right now, hit pause. And you should have some questions. And if you don't, are you paying attention? All right, because I've even got questions of things I've shared with you. All right, so anyway, that's how to develop your program. All right, congratulations for getting through this point. Now, the second piece with this, friends, is this: how to outline your program. How to outline your program. Okay, you've got the presentation title, description, outcomes. Wonderful. Okay, well, do you just wing it? Do you just show up and just read the paragraph description that's 100 words and be like, oh, no. Now you actually need to design the actual in and out of that Tesla Cybertruck that I referred to earlier. The R&D is really important now. So there's 3 things that I look for. I've already shared those with you. The 3 E's. Number 1, you have to educate. How does your program educate or inform, right? What's that content? But boil it all down, distill it. How are you educating your audience? Number 1. Number 2, how are you engaging them? Right? In the program, when are you not talking? When are they laughing? When are they watching? When are they sharing to when are they posting in the chat now or turning to the person next to them if it was a live audience? How are you engaging them in your delivery? And how are you empowering them? And if you can hit on these 3 E's in your actual design and outline of your program, which I'm going to help you with now, then you've got a solid presentation. And when you have a solid presentation that incorporates these 3 elements, it starts with an R, you become referable. And over 90% of my speaking business is referral. Always has been. And frankly, I don't mind it if it always is. Because when you are speaking, whether you are speaking for free or a fee, if your program isn't being referred, and many times you don't know if it is or not, but if you're not getting inquiries after you present, whether it's immediate to a couple months down the road, then you need to track that. And I always source where I get my inquiries from. But if people aren't reaching out to me to say, wow, amazing, and hey, would you speak for us in this group? And some presentations, I get several, and some, hey, it might take a while, because not just because I'm presenting to an audience doesn't mean I'm talking to a group of decision makers. But that ties into how I stay in contact with them over time. How do they know about me when they do need a speaker? Because remember, they don't need a speaker until they need a speaker. Let me repeat that. They don't need a speaker until they need a speaker. So how do you stay on top of mind? How do you stay in touch with them, right? How do you connect with them outside of your presentation? But if you can incorporate these 3 things, keep it simple. You're welcome. Educate, engage, and empower. Now, if you've already read Module 2 in my book, this is how I do it. And this isn't just some theory. I'm going to share with you a moment how I do it through my speaker storyboard outline. Okay? So here's some things to be thinking about as you're going to be outlining your program. Number 1, how are you going to be introduced? Because catch this, when you are introduced, it's usually by somebody, I can almost guarantee it's going to be by somebody who doesn't speak well. It's not going to be by another professional speaker. It's going to be by probably a senior level officer or a senior member of that organization. And their chances are they're probably not going to be that great. So how are you going to immediately, number 2 here, raise the energy? How are you going to intrigue them to listen to you immediately? To put their phone or their laptop down, or to get off their multiple screens that they're looking at if this is a virtual presentation and actually pay attention to you. That's on you, friends. That's not on them. How do you make them want to pay attention, to say, wow, this is going to be a speaker that's going to really have an engaging program? Because a lot of times within 30 seconds to a minute, they're like, okay, I can check a few more emails. Okay, I'm going to stay in the back of the room and just, So it's really important that we go into this knowing how we're going to make sure this doesn't happen. When are they laughing? When are they going to be emotional? When will they be moving, physically moving? When are they going to be reflective and writing something down? When are they going to be sharing with the person next to them or in the chat or in the breakout session? When are they watching? When are they listening? When are they blank? So this is the mindset of asking yourself questions as you design your program. And then here is specifically how I design my program. It is through what I call the speaker storyboard outline. So imagine this, outside of speaking, let's say I'm gonna write a movie, I'm gonna be a director of a movie or even a cartoon. Well, how do they go from an idea to the actual finished product? And the answer to that is they have a storyboard. They know who's doing what, when, all the things that are needed, the different camera angle shots, right? Sound, music, situation. I mean, it is so complicated, right? There's a lot that goes into it. So here's where here's the objective of the storyboard. And if you can't tell, this is what I go for right here. And I call this, you know what I call this? I call it my heartbeat. Because a speech designed without a heartbeat, you know what it's not going to have? It's not going to have one. So a speech designed without a heartbeat actually won't have a heartbeat. And a speech that doesn't have a heartbeat means it's dead. It also means it's not going to be referred. You're never going to have people that want to check in. And once they check out, it's really difficult to get them to check back in. So we immediately have to come in. And it's not just with energy and, rah-rah. No. You want to make sure people don't tune out to that. Because if you're talking, catch this. If you're talking to 100 different people, you're talking to 100 different personality styles. And if I'm talking to 100 internal auditors, right? Michelle, right? If I'm talking, which I've talked to hundreds and thousands of them, I've done a lot of IIA conferences, but those are all auditors, International Auditing Association or Internal Auditors Association. I know I'm talking to a lot of auditors. Well, a lot of them might be more, as compared to 100 college students. So I'm going to start my presentations off a little differently based on who I'm talking to. So I have a speaker storyboard for every presentation, and I've got different ones for the types of people I'm talking to. Yeah, this is a lot of work. But it's not work. It's my business. See the difference? So friends, let me explain to you why this is important. So here's a copy of the speaker storyboard. And by the way, you all have access to this. It's in the book and it's on our personal members only website. paytospeak.biz/SPT. Okay? So look at this. I'm going to focus on the dominant action. And this is all important too. But this is actually the outline. Here's the action and the emotions that I want to make sure that I'm incorporating as well. So check this out. So my dominant action, I've got a couple different options here. If I want them to be listening, right? That's at the very beginning. Of course, they're going to be listening. That's probably the flat space of me being introduced, right? But then, let's say that I'm designing this and guess what? There's more listening. There's more listening. There's more listening. Question is this. Is that a heartbeat? Where they're just listening? No or no? No way. It's not a heartbeat. It's a dead beat. There's no heartbeat there. And when I'm reviewing an outline or really a script, so there's two outlines too, like the blue pill, the red pill. The blue pill is this. You need to have an outline. And the other pill is you need to have a narrated version of your speech. You're not going to wing it. You want to know exactly what you want to come out of your mouth. Things are not going to come out of your mouth that you expect, so just expect that. But if you don't know what you want to come out of your mouth, then guess what? You're going to be going all over the place a little bit. And the audience is going to sense that. So here's the point though. You want to create a heartbeat in your outline, and here's how you do it. So check this out. Let's start this all over again. So you're going to be listening. Yeah, that's going to be the introduction. And I even designed my introductions. Catch this. I even designed my introductions. You've seen them a couple, maybe. I have a keynote at the end of this. If you'd like to watch, you can see how I do this. So I'll put a link to a recent keynote that I did to show you how I incorporated the speaker storyboard and how it works in action. I want people in my introduction to be laughing and engaged and feeling. Before I even ever start speaking, I want them to be thinking, this is a different type of program. I look forward to listening to what Kevin has to say. That doesn't happen by accident. It results by intention. That's how I curated this speech. This is art, folks. Your presentation is a canvas. You are the artist. You craft that speech like you do art. And 99% of the work that goes into your speaking business and your speech is behind the scenes. That 1% is only the time that they have or that you have in front of them that they actually see. You see why this is now getting like, some of you might be like, I'm out, I'm done. It's a lot. Yeah, but once you do it, here's the point. It's the R&D. It's the Tesla Cybertruck. Once you put the time into R&D, which most speakers aren't going to do, that's why they'll never get off the part-time or they'll never get to stop dabbling. Treat this professionally, like it's going to be your business and even a side business, but you still have to do these things. You curate it. Now you have it. Now you have it. And then, yeah, you'll make some tweaks and you'll evolve, you'll make adjustments. But the beauty is now you have a finished product that is sellable. Until you've done this, you don't have a finished product yet. You can't sell it. You can't sell it. It's not ready yet. So let me show you how I would and how I do complete this. So listening, we got. All right, now check this out. Now I want to immediately do something in my presentation where they're moving, right? So where are they moving? Then, where are they laughing? What am I going to say? I'm not going to tell a joke, but what am I going to actually do or say, or how am I going to engage them in a way where they're like, ha ha ha, you know. And it can't be cheesy, Corey. It's got to, again, watch my keynote. You'll see a couple ways of how I do this. In fact, I hired a speech coach about a year and a half ago to come watch me do a keynote. Invested a chunk of change. And I said, I feel like I've been doing it this way for a while. What I want you to do is to watch me and critique me and help me find my blind spots, right? Because that's something else that we do as speakers. We get so close to our material, and even with a book too. You can't edit your own book. No. And you need to have somebody who is neutral and objective. So I hired my coach. He said to me, he goes, Snyder, I counted 87 laughs in the first 30 minutes of your 60-minute speech. He goes, by my standards, I would call that stand-up comedy. But you did it in a way where it was motivational. And to hear him kind of explain that to me in more detail, I'll be honest with you, it made me feel good because I curated that laughter. You know, one of the best ways to connect with people is two things. Make them laugh, make them cry. And if you can make them laugh, right, and make them cry, and be authentically, then guess what? You're going to have a speech where people are going to want more of it. So anyway, so laughing, right? How are you going to do that? Reflecting. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, how are you going to get them to, make it about them? So you share your point, your story, your PSA, point, story. A is the application. What about you? Or how many times in your life have you, right? I mean, there are different ways of doing this. Again, watch my keynote. You'll see some different ways how I do. I do hand raising a lot. I do what about you? Or have you ever? Or envision this. Or imagine that. You make it about them, right? That is the beginning essence and seeds to getting them to reflect. Then, well, where are you having them actually share something? Writing something down. And sharing it to the person next to them, posting it in the chat, having that be a discussion point if you're doing a breakout room. So friends, look, you can see why this video is getting kind of long. I'm not going to shorten the videos up because I'm going to hope and expect that you guys actually watch this stuff. You've also got a copy of my book that walks you through it in good context. I get real passionate with this because this is the work behind the scenes that either surprises most people and they don't want to do it, or they don't realize how important it is. And you right now could be 2 feet from goal. You really could be. Or maybe you're striking gold already a little bit. I want to help you strike more gold. There's more gold out there. The pie is large. So that's just how I do these. You want to make sure as many of these are creating that heartbeat. That's the whole point. And it's not just with the action, it's also with the emotion. So remember, you want to also get them excited, right? These are the emotions. When are they happy? Well, that's probably when they're laughing, right? When are they informed? This is more maybe the lecture style of your point. When are they informed and kind of taking your content in? What about when are they motivated? When are they feeling like, oh, wow, yeah, now, they want to take action, right? They're motivated to do that. And then also empathic. And that's where they're really maybe connecting to you, hearing your story of some of the challenges that you've had, and they're feeling you, they're with you, right? Or maybe you're sharing a story about somebody else that is that tearjerker or that real pulling at the heartstrings authentically. Every presentation needs that. And here's the thing. With both of these columns, folks, here's my question to you. And this is the question to ask yourself. This will be one of the questions I ask you in our meeting to see who has actually watched this video. Because I don't do this for my health. I do it for you. I don't do these videos for my health. I do them because I want to help people. And if you watch this far, then congratulations. I completely forgot what I was going to say. It was the question though. Anyway, somebody remind me what that. It'll probably pop back in a moment. But this is how you create the heartbeat. Oh, here's the question. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: when am I not talking? And I share with you in the book a sample of how this is extremely important. Because if you've written out your speech and it's just you talking, that means the audience is listening. When are you not talking? Right? When are they, again, it goes back to all these principles. When are they doing things? When are they feeling things different? So as a great keynote speaker, which some of you want to be, or even as a trainer or a workshop facilitator, doesn't matter whether you've got 50 people in your audience or 500 or 5,000. A great speaker is also, in addition to a great problem solver, they are also a great facilitator. A facilitator of that person's own mind. Okay? So, friends, this is a completed storyboard. Okay? I've got a picture or an image of this in our members-only website. You also have copies in the book and that you can download. So I'd encourage you to really look at this. And also, when you're watching my keynote, if you choose to, follow along. This storyboard is actually from a different keynote than the actual keynote you're going to see, but you're going to see how I use still some of these same things. It's very intentional. I've curated this. And I'm not suggesting it's perfect, but this is the way that I do it. So to coin a phrase that my dad told me many years ago, some people say John Maxwell said it. No, well, who I heard it from was my own father. And it was before John Maxwell was around. And my dad said this: if you want to do what I'm doing, then do what I've done. If you want to do what I'm doing, then do what I've done. And how that relates to you all is this: if you want to do what I'm doing, then do what I've done. Or if you want to do what maybe I'm not in your mentor speaker, and that's fine if I'm not, but let's say go to that person, if you want to do what they're doing, then do what they've done. Catch this. I did create this and make it my own. The speaker storyboard, it is my idea. Or how I've done it uniquely here. But I didn't get this process on my own. I actually got it from one of my mentors. And I write about him in the preface of the book. So I'd encourage you to definitely read the preface of my book. It's the preface, when I rewrote the book, was like almost writing a new book in the preface. Definitely read the preface. You'll see my process. But one of my own mentors introduced this to me. And this is also how I do my demo video. I do a demo video storyboard. that saved me thousands of dollars with time and money I didn't have to spend because I already did the work for my video designer. But this is the friends. So I've got this in concept here, right? Concept here. Well, it all starts with pen, paper, and a cup of coffee or a cocktail, right? And this is the beginning of it. So this might be where some of you are at right now. And then this is the end of it. This is your completed, or at least for me, I went from this to this. And then, guess what? Let me fast forward it back to the finished product, which is that. That is the finished keynote outline in 4 steps here. And that I created this last year amidst the pandemic in July, titled How to Become a Shift Thinker. Because small shifts in thinking create big results. And I presented this keynote in September of last year, and that's the keynote that you have access to watch. I'll include a link below. Okay? So let me share with you how I actually did this. So I've shared with you how. I've given you tips. I've given you what I feel is a very thorough process. Now you have to apply it. And I'm going to share with you how I applied this as well. Okay? Are you ready? So, early one morning, and this is before we had, this was back in June and July. So this was almost like a 2-week process that I put myself through. I collected a ton of information. So this is my desk. I have it actually in my bonus room, which is now my virtual studio. I actually have, it's my old game room, so to speak. I've got a pool table that is also a convertible ping pong table. And you can see it here. On the ping pong table, I pulled out a whole bunch of stuff. And hopefully you can tell that one of the things I pulled out, and at 4 in the morning is when I really just, I had my content out, had my speaker storyboard or my speaker notebook out. And if you can't tell, there it is. That I use a 3-ring binder. So yes, hashtag old school. I don't care. It works. If you don't have your speaker notebook already, because I've been talking about it now for the past 2 videos, with all due respect, I question how bad you want this. Your speaker notebook is how you're going to keep your content organized. If you don't have a speaker notebook and you haven't figured out your system for how you're going to do it, whether it's a 3-ring binder or maybe you want to try to do it on your phone, I mean, you can try, unless you're really tech savvy. I don't know many speakers that have been able to organize. You're going to have a lot of content. This isn't the only speaker notebook I have, by the way. I've got 3. And what helps me is I go through it and I got dividers, I've got different themes for it. You can kind of see those here. Okay? You can kind of see the different ones there on color tabs. I don't need to make this complicated. But I got everything out. Here's the point. I got everything out. I even got out one of my old speaker notebooks or my old speaker storyboards here. Got everything out, had my cup of joe ready, and I said, okay, what's my objective? And I also have another blog for you that is how I prepare. And my preparation is what I did with this speech. I looked at my questionnaire, and the questionnaire was completed by the organization's executive, or the meeting planner really, that asked me to speak. And I looked at the questions I asked, and those questions, their answers to those questions helped me then become very clear on what my objectives for my speech were. So catch this. When I asked for what are 3 major takeaways that you'd like the audience to have as a result of my speech, that's one of my questions. It's a question you need to definitely ask. What are 3 top takeaways or objectives that you'd like for the audience to have as a result of my speech? 3 of them were this. I only give them options of 3. Number 1, we want your the opening keynotes. We want you to be engaging. We want you to share some tips and principles to help them in their work. And then they said number 3, just be relevant. I'm like, okay. So number 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's very common too. But point is this: I looked at the objectives to help me then design the speech. And this is the first time I didn't even have Shift Thinker done yet, right? So catch this, friends. So I'm going to go through this a little bit more quickly now. Now you can see my keynote starting to take shape here. Okay, and again, this was actually a 2-week process. So I'd already spent hours on just looking at all my content. Now I was actually writing it out. I was actually basically handwriting my script, so to speak. And yeah, if it doesn't look messy or if it doesn't look organized, it looks messy. Well, okay, that's my style. But I'll make organization to it here in just a moment, okay? Here's a little bit more of a close-up shot. I'm pretty much getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I got my points here. I got my content, PSA. And now I've got to get close to putting it into my speaker storyboard for that specific speech, for that specific audience. And there you go. All right. So, did this take me just a few minutes? No. It took me a few days. And once I did it once, then I'll, take a break, come back to it a little bit later. This is where the time investment is really important. But then I wanted to create a model diagram. It wasn't me just in content. I was thinking about the presentation aesthetics, which is another aspect of Module 2. The presentation aesthetics, the actual design, and I wanted to create a model. Models are memorable. And it also would help me keep things organized. And this was a high-stakes annual keynote. So I was like, I want to create something that looks credible, that looks sexy, that will help me stay organized. So this was it. I wanted something that kind of had almost like a Venn diagram. So I went to this thing called the Google, and I typed up circle diagrams, Venn diagrams. I came across one that I kind of liked, but that I knew I had to make my own, make it more appealing. Okay? So catch this. I had a couple samples. I share those with my mastermind group. So I'm a member of a mastermind. It's 5 of us. We meet every month, and we all pay money to be part of this mastermind because that's part of our investment. But I asked them, these are all professional full-time speakers too. So I asked them, I was like, what do you this was the one that they said they liked the best, but they said it also needs a lot of work because this isn't yours. This was one I just found on Google Images. So anyway, by the way, I have another mastermind too, the speaker mastermind group within Paid to Speak that some of you are a member of. That's a different mastermind, so don't get those two confused. I lead that group. I lead that one, and that's a membership one. You have to join it. But my other personal mastermind is the one I'm referring to. So I got my feedback, my peer-reviewed feedback, and then I made it my own. So catch this. That's it. Does that look good? No or no? No, that looks horrible. That looks freaking ugly, right? But I went from 6 to 4, and even currently now, I've got one design for 3. But I had 4 main components here, starting with growth mindset, shift thinker principle number 1, shift thinker principle number 2, the think differently, which, catch this, think differently ties into my book. So when I mention think differently as a principle, then I have content from my book I can talk about, which hopefully then plant seeds for people to get the book. That's a real delicate way of doing it. Then also envision the no, and you know what no stands for? It's an acronym. New opportunity. You have to envision the new opportunity at the no. And my principle number 3 goes into more detail with that. And then number 4 is this. You have to act because action changes things. So these 4 principles of my Shift Thinker keynote, this is how the genesis and how I gave it birth. So I took this image and I took this image here. I took these 2 images. Then I went to Fiverr.com, and I've already mentioned Fiverr, but Fiverr is a great resource for you for some things. You can probably find somebody to provide you a service for anything that you need, whether it's logo design, whether it's ebook formatting, whether it's cover designs for books, whether it's presentation stuff. I mean, I can help you some of this stuff too, or if you really want, the challenge is you're probably going to somebody in a different country, and there can be a lot lost in translation, so you really have to have specific people that you can go to. So if you go to Fiverr.com, and I have a referral link for you where if you use this link right here, you can earn up to $100 by using that link. It doesn't cost you anything, but if you do sign up for Fiverr, if you're not already a part of Fiverr, use this, just type this link in. And so hit pause, type this link in, and at least sign up for Fiverr. Because down the road, if not already now, there's going to be multiple ways that you can use Fiverr to help you with your speaking. And it's going to be really, really helpful. So anyway, I went to Fiverr, and I go to Fiverr for a lot of different things. And some things are $5, some things are more than that. But this logo design here, this crappy, ugly initial mock-up, I wouldn't even call this a mock-up. That's so ugly, it's not even a mock-up. It's a mock-up to a mock-up to a mock-up. But for $50, I went back to my person who I use for a variety of different things, who's a proven person for me. They went from this, so catch this. They went from this design, they gave me a few samples back. I wrote them back with which one I liked the best with some different comments. It wasn't that they just gave me this next image right off the bat, but we probably had some back and forth 5 or 6 times, a couple hours back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Within a period of a week, I went from this to this. And this, my friends, is Shift Thinker. Now, you might look at this and say, I don't like this or I don't like that. Okay, that's fine. I'm not asking you, hey, this is how I use it in my program, and it works. And I'll show you how I use it too in just a second. But the key is this: I went to Fiverr to do that. So definitely make sure, if that doesn't impress you, for $50, you can actually have your model created for your keynote, which I recommend that you have. And I recommend that if you use the referral link I'm giving you, you can actually earn up to $100 in credit by just using that link. So I'd encourage you to do that, okay? Now, here is actually how I use my presentation or use my keynote or image in the actual presentation. And this is where, if you go and watch the video, watch my keynote in action, you can actually see me doing this. And instead of this bottom line here that I have branded for me, it's got their logo on it. And that is something when you're designing your slides, yes, you should have slides. When you are designing them, they should be branded for the group that you're speaking to. It will impress them. Okay? So here's how I do it when I'm kind of talking about it in general. Then you can see here, hopefully, how, make sure I'm doing this the right way. Okay, yep. So then tying into this, catch this. We got, when I'm talking just about growth mindset, guess what? These disappear. Then I'm talking about think differently, right? To introduce that and also then talk about that second principle of becoming a shift thinker. Then envision the no, and then take action. Because vision without action is merely a daydream, right? So in all of these, I'm using this one model to then introduce the content with my entire presentation. I'm able to do it through a graphic. And I also then have that logo, I had it created transparently for $5. Then I could add it on different other images that I use in my presentation as well. So, I know this is a long one. You might be on coffee number 2. I don't know. My throat's almost going a little bit here too. But here's the point. It started with the speaker storyboard. I would highly encourage you to consider it. You probably have never done anything like this with your outline before, and that's exactly why you should. And if you spend a few hours on it and it's just not clicking for a variety of different reasons, then you need to ask yourself why. Because you just writing notepad on a piece of paper, your outline, isn't going to incorporate those elements that you need to make sure your speech is engaging. You also need to have your time here. I mean, not even talked about that tonight. The time aspect on the far left, you need to know exactly the amount of time that you're allocating for that segment. Okay? And that I got that from my curriculum design when I was teaching at a university. I would have my timestamps for all aspects of my class. So this isn't rocket science. It's actually what professional facilitators and instructional designers actually use. Okay, so again, you've got access to the speaker storyboard. It's right there in front of you. It's on our members-only website. It's also link in the book to a separate website with other resources as well. And as I've mentioned a couple times, if you want to actually watch me present Becoming a Shift Thinker to at an annual conference in September, it was actually the first time I presented this You can see that I do it. Made a lot of mistakes. Curious if you can tell where, if you want. But that's up to you. So type up this. I'll put this, leave this website on the screen a little bit for a while, just so that you can or hit pause right now and you can copy that. Okay? You can copy that website address. It goes to one of my blogs that I shared after the keynote. And friends, this is it. So, there is a lot that goes into this. And here's why this is important before we close. You're not ready to get paid to speak until your program is done. Now, you might be out there getting a couple presentations, but if you're struggling or if you're not really sure where to start, this is where to start, and it's how you finish as well. Because there's really nothing to sell. There's no Tesla Cybertruck to buy if you haven't done the R&D yet. Okay? So write down your questions, share this with me in advance. That way I can kind of maybe combine a few and make sure that we have meeting time intact. But write down your questions right now too about what I've shared with you in this video, this training almost now. And I look forward to seeing you guys. We look forward to seeing you on February 2nd. So remember, look at the prior videos if you haven't already. Incorporate that content. Let this video build upon that as well. I want to see everybody standing. I want you to treat your breakout speech, your prepared speech, and it's only 5 to 7 minutes. So you can build a keynote doing 5 to 7 minute speeches. Okay? Treat your breakout as if you were getting paid to speak. And the only difference is you're going to get the feedback that you need to get paid more. All right? So we will see you on February 2nd. Take care.